You cannot overreact to this problem. This is the most significant, most serious, most dreadful reality, in my judgment, in the history of the world.
This is my family, my wife Esther, and my son Philip Jr. As a filmmaker, I've seen lots of impactful things in my life, all over the world. But when a friend of mine first shared with me about John and his work down in Orlando, I found it almost hard to believe. What I'm about to tell you is a true story. It's both horrible and incredible. You see, for the last 3 years, John Barros has stood outside this small, unassuming building, also known as Orlando Women's Center. Surprisingly, it's one of the country's most active abortion clinics, where it's estimated that over 400 babies are aborted here every month, including late-term abortions. This is what's really amazing. Over the last 3 years, John has dedicated his life full-time to saving the unborn. Rain or shine, John has offered thousands of women help, a chance to hear the gospel, and hopefully, a newfound desire to save the life of their child. Although a majority of women sadly choose to have abortions, the Lord has used John's efforts to save over 1,000 babies.
I was having this spiritual battle, like take it out, don't take it out, take it out. And now I'm not having that battle no more. And ever since he did that, he can tell you I've changed. I'm
absolutely
glowing,
different
I'm
girl.
happy. I'm just a different person. I'm not miserable anymore. I'm not angry. I'm not crying all the time. Just a different person completely. I was going through it. I don't know if it was just a battle within me, but it was also a spiritual battle. Like the devil kept telling, the enemy kept telling me to do it, God telling me not to do it. They were fighting over me. And John helped me lean towards don't do it. Thank you.
Love you, kid.
True religion, not just special people, but true religion, the essence of what it is to visit widows and orphans in their trouble. And if anybody's an orphan, it's a baby in a womb who, voluntarily or not, mother and father are taking this child to be murdered. These are the people who are in trouble. These are the people who are in need. These are the people who need those who practice true religion to visit them. And where are they? But at the abortion mill.
It's too beautiful of a day to come here.
Maybe you should be out witnessing to people who are lost.
Sir, I get to see about 30 girls a month change their mind. Why would I be going anywhere else?
This will be my 5th abortion. I'm very proud of it. I hate babies.
Here, come on. Take one of these.
Hail Satan!
Let us help you guys. Every person in here has a different story. And all of them is a lack of faith, period. Their eyes are not open. They cannot see their way through this, or the ones that can just don't want to. But every story is different. But the answer is all the same. The answer is all found in Jesus Christ. And that's what we're here for, is to try and lead them, point them to Jesus Christ, because there is no answer any other way. I just show up here and watch him show off. Where's my hook?
God uses John to change the hearts and minds of abortion-minded people, principally because of that perfect balance of calling sin and calling sinners to repentance, and doing it out of genuine care and concern for the sinners.
The Bible tells us the wages of sin is death. And today you're in a house of death. But look, we're here to offer help and hope. We're not here to be your enemy. We're not here to be judgmental. Lord, she's 19 weeks pregnant. I know that the reasoning for all this, I can see in your face that you do not want to do this. There's a young lady who'll be down here in a few minutes that chose life out of this place with her little baby. You need to protect her. Look them up on your phone. Look this guy up, Randall. I know this is very hard for you. I mean, there's no doubt. There's a lot of cold people in there, but you're not one of them.
I can't say I've ever met a person so wholeheartedly passionate about saving the lives of the unborn. 9 hours a day, 6 days a week, and all year long, John relentlessly visits the mill in hope of just saving one life. However, if there is anyone who could use his physical disabilities as an excuse for not doing this work, it would be John.
I ended up having a doctor tell me you need to get your affairs in order. Had some cancer, ended up having 4 cancer surgeries, and But then in the middle of all that, I ended up getting 2 brain aneurysms, and I ended up having to get 2 brain surgeries. As I look back, God was just stripping me of all my pride, everything I held valuable, everything I held dear. And then I ended up having a couple back surgeries, and a guy ran into the back of me. So I ended up having to get a spinal cord stimulator and put in. But all these things I thank God for, because they've all shown me that He's in control, every bit of it, that He's sovereign. So I went and sat on the end of that wall 3 years ago, and I asked God, if you really want me to sit here, if you really want me to call out to these people full time, please take care of my family. And through literal miraculous things at times, He has taken care of us. Morning, ladies. Can I give you one of these before you go in there? Father, I don't know her situation, but I know you are the King of situations. And that baby, if it could talk today, it would say, come on, Mom, we can do this. God has sent people down to help us. God has sent people down that have helped hundreds of other people. And they want to help us, Mom.
I left Orlando feeling a newfound sense of conviction and protecting the lives of the unborn. Witnessing the death of so many babies during just our short stay was an emotion difficult to describe. As for John, I was deeply inspired by him and his work, but equally saddened by the small number of others across the country who are unwilling to take a stand in this incredibly important issue, and as John says, to be a voice for the voiceless.
Now, I've felt a call in my life to do this full time, but I believe the church, any member in the church, there's something they can do, and everybody needs to be a part of this problem.
I don't think anyone could argue that the church is adequately addressing the issue of abortion. We don't encourage this. We don't send people out there. We don't have pastors out there. We don't look for men who have the liberty, retired men who have the time to go and be faithful and diligent. I think that the problem in the church is not that we've tried and we've failed, but that we've failed to try.
My name is John, and I come down here every day. And I come down here because Jesus has called me to be here.
This is real. The Christian faith is about rescuing people who are on their way to death. We're not talking about saving buildings. We're not talking about saving money. We're talking about saving immortal souls.
Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. You're all very, very welcome. Thank you for joining us here on our live Abolish Abortion NI update. We are normally live on a Monday night, but just with such significant developments over the last 2 days, we felt we needed to come to have an update tonight and to share some very significant developments that are happening in relation to what's happening on the abortion front. We are so delighted to be able to share with you a little bit of the story of John Barros. This is the ministry and the work that is now attempting to be criminalized in Northern Ireland. The offer of the gospel, the offer of hope and support to women going into abortion centres and abortion mills across Northern Ireland will now be met with criminal penalties as per the bill that was passed at the end of the last assembly mandate. But we have quite an update for you. So I'm just going to hand over to Mark now, who's going to share, and then we'll maybe have some questions and answers after that. So thank you to Mark.
Good evening. Thank you, Wesley. And good evening, everyone. It is great to be able to come to you live on a Friday night with some really positive news, but at the same time, some really shocking developments over the last 24 hours or so. I think it's always great on these evenings when we're talking about this work that we share videos of what John Barros does. John is one man, but he is a hero of the faith. He is a hero of mine and has saved countless lives by simply being present. But I love in the midst of all that he is doing, that John still points to the one who is in control of everything, and says that he just simply shows up and God shows off. And over the last 24 hours or so, we've had a bill of abolition in Louisiana. The bill was a historic bill. It was the first bill to get out of committee, to be voted out of committee and onto the House floor. So it was historic in that sense, but the bill was completely destroyed and gutted on the House floor, not by pro-abortion advocates, but by pro-life politicians, on the back of lobbying by pro-life organizations. While any of us who want to see abortion abolished are gutted by what happened in Louisiana, at the same time, God is in control of all things. And what is really happening now is that the position of the pro-life groups is really being exposed, that they simply do not believe that human life begins at conception. They do not believe that humans ought to be equally protected under the law. And they simply believe that all women, all of them who have an abortion, are equally a victim with the child. And part of that problem comes from not being at the abortion clinics. They don't know what goes on at these abortion clinics. They don't see people like you saw in the video walk in and shout "Hail Satan" and boast about how many abortions they've had. And they don't understand that this is a sin issue. So we're praying for the abolitionists in the States. We're praying for the work that they're doing, and we're praying that God would turn Christians in the States away from the pro-life organizations, and back to the biblical truth, that God demands equal justice for all human beings. So we're here to talk about some developments with Claire Bailey's bill. As a quick reminder, Claire Bailey's bill seeks to criminalize the sharing of the gospel, praying, handing out tracts, reading the Bible, holding up scriptural verses within 150 to 250 meters of an abortion clinic in Northern Ireland. It doesn't seek to criminalize anybody who is pro-abortion in those zones, simply anybody who has any form of life-affirming view and would do anything at all in order to influence, or that may even possibly influence, somebody who is going into the abortion clinic to kill their own child. So we had been tracking this for over a year now, and we've been keeping a close eye on what the pro-abortion lobby were doing with this bill. We were aware that they were collating falsified evidence way back towards the start of last year. But one of the things that really struck us was that the Belfast Trust, when they went to the Committee for Health, the Belfast Trust provided evidence that to us at the time sounded iffy. You see, last summer, the Belfast Trust had said that in over a year of having a clinic, they had recorded 11 incidents at the clinic, and the chief executive acknowledged that the protests, or the people standing outside the clinics, were all very peaceful, and they had absolutely no problem with that. And by the time it got to December, the start of December 2021, the trust's stance had changed, to all of a sudden accusing people of spitting, of shouting, and saying that the number of incidents had ballooned from being 11 over the course of a year to now being over 41 in the space of just a few months. So we wanted to look into that further, and we started to do a number of freedom of information requests, and we found that someone within the Health Trust, the Belfast Health and Social Care Trust, just before the committee meeting that the Trust were due to give evidence for, went onto their information management system and logged 27 complaints in a single day. So somebody sat on a single day and entered 27 incidents onto the system. Now, this is highly suspicious in itself. So we wanted to dig a little bit deeper into that. We went and asked the Trust for all emails that are held on their system with regards to the protests and any mention of the Committee for Health meeting on the 9th of December. We asked them for details of all of the incidents, how they were recorded and what was recorded, and confirmation that it was recorded by a single person. And the Trust denied this request. They refused to give us any of the information that we requested, but we have continued to hound them over the last couple of months, demanding the information, and they have now released partial evidence, part of what we've requested. They're still refusing to release emails from within the Trust. We believe that this is to cover up a clear trail of evidence that will show that there was collusion within the Trust to falsify evidence. But what they have done is they have released the 27 incidents that were recorded on the single day back in November 2021. Now, for me, these incidents span across 8 months, and what I was expecting to see was some very generic incidents recorded over the space of 8 months. These 27 incidents, I expected them all to be a little bit different, and what we found when it arrived was actually pretty shocking. So I'm going to show you it now. I'll try and share my screen. So what you'll be able to see here on the screen is the spreadsheet that has been provided to us, and over here you can see that the dates that they have all been completed were all on the 16th of the 11th. All of the 27 incidents that were entered were all entered on a low grade as low grade incidents. Low grade incidents are not investigated by the Trust. They're just recorded. There's no real investigation goes into them. There's a little bit of an investigation at a departmental level, but no centralized investigation. And you can see over here on the right-hand side that the incidents that are claiming have happened at the abortion clinic in College Street range in date across the whole of 2021 all the way back to the 11th of March. So between the 11th of March and the 11th of November there. Now, what is shocking is that every single one of these incidents, regardless of the fact that they were happening over a period of 8 months, every single one of them is exactly the same. So every single incident is just a copy and paste of the other. And you can see this as we scroll down through the spreadsheet occurring 27 times. So somebody has literally gone on to the information management system and has entered this 27 times on the same day and just changed the dates to make it look like it was spread out across months. And if we read the content of the description, you can see immediately that it is simply pro-abortion propaganda. They say that anti-choice groups standing outside College Street. So the wording in this battle is really important. So, for example, I call people who are supportive of access to abortion. I call them pro-abortion. They call themselves pro-choice. There are people who call themselves abolitionists. There are people who call themselves pro-life. But those who support abortion will call them anti-choice. The words anti-choice here show that this is written not by a neutral person, but by a pro-abortion activist within the Belfast Trust. And it says anti-choice groups are standing outside College Street, graphic images on billboards. Now, what they're talking about there, and we found this with Christians who are thinking, oh, people are showing images of aborted children. When they say graphic images on billboards, they are talking about pictures of living children, pictures of living children in the womb that show the reality of what the child is and what abortion is actually killing. They call graphic pictures of children, misleading information on leaflets forced on patients to take. As far as I'm aware, some of the information on the leaflets is about abortion pill reversal, which has already saved multiple lives in Northern Ireland, is completely safe, regardless of what Robin Swan says. So it has information that gives someone a choice to change their mind and to save their child. It says it's distressing for patients trying to access clinic, intimidation and harassment. Intimidation is a crime. Harassment is a crime. And yet nobody has ever been arrested. It's a bit of a spelling mistake here. It says anti-choice wear video cameras. It's supposed to be WEAR video cameras. Unsure if recording or not, public domain. So yeah, they're right. People are in the public domain, and there is absolutely no restriction on people videoing in the public domain. But they're trying to insinuate some kind of underhanded element to the fact that people are wearing body cams. Now, what is ironic here is, although they claim there is intimidation and harassment from the people who are outside the clinic, it is the people who are outside the clinic who face intimidation and harassment. And that's why they wear body cams. That's why they wear a camera, to protect themselves. We've had people spat on, punched, signs ripped off them. We've had people with paint thrown off over them. All of this happens outside the clinics, and that's why people are wearing body cams, to protect themselves and to ensure that if they're the victim of a crime, that it is recorded and reported to the police, and the police have the best possible opportunity to catch the perpetrator of that crime. Which brings us back to intimidation and harassment, because the Belfast Trust College Street facility has a video camera pointing towards the door. It has a video camera out the front, and if intimidation and harassment were taking place, they would have it recorded, and they would be able to show that to the police and have the person arrested or seek an injunction against that person. And again, it hasn't happened. And they say that staff and patients are subjected to that behavior, or to this behavior. And again, what they're complaining about here is people standing outside on the street holding pictures of living children, handing out leaflets that give a choice, and protecting themselves from attack. And this is what now is regarded as an incident in the Belfast Trust, and it has been duplicated 27 times. So why would somebody do this? Why would somebody put 27 duplicate incidents onto the trust management system on one day? Why would they do that? Well, it is simple. They did it to falsify information, to make it look like there was an issue at the the clinic in College Street, so that when the abortionist went to the Committee for Health meeting on the 9th of December, that they could claim that all these incidents had occurred when they hadn't. These 27 incidents were simply created in order to try and force legislative change through at Stormont. Now, I realize what I'm saying there is pretty big. I'm accusing somebody within the trust of falsifying information in order to force through legislative change, and I'm gonna show you why. Because in the action taken, it says reoccurrence will happen until safe access zones. Senior management aware every Thursday we have anti-choice groups outside clinic. This was not about intimidation and harassment. This was about just trying to remove people that they didn't like. And these 27 incidents were recorded specifically to try and force through legislative change to create exclusion zones to get rid of people that they simply do not like. This is shocking. These revelations that have now come out of the Belfast Trust, and we are now going to the Information Commissioner to seek information on emails. We're still going to continue trying to hunt down the emails, but it is of little coincidence. It is providential that yesterday we received that email with the all of that information, and we heard at the same time yesterday that the Attorney General is referring Claire Bailey's exclusion zone bill to the Supreme Court, and asking the Supreme Court if there are issues with the bill that means it should be overturned. So specifically, they're talking about the way the bill doesn't allow anybody any opportunity to defend themselves in court. It's an absolute crime. Jim Allister had tried to introduce an amendment to fix that and had been rejected. So it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And what we are going to be doing is bringing our work to bear into that case by seeking to intervene in the case in order to have our opinion heard, in order to allow the Christians who are witnessing at the clinic to have their opinion heard, which Stormont simply did not allow them to do. And we are going to declare God's law to the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom, and highlight the false, fake evidence that underpins this law, and we're going to demand that it is struck down and continues, and Christians are allowed to continue to obey God without persecution. So Wesley, I'm going to bring you back in here. So anything you want to add to that?
Mark, thank you so much for that helpful update, and certainly it has been quite a revelation over these last 2-3 days for this information to come out. And it's what we've been saying all along, that the information that was being presented to our Stormont Assembly was fraudulent, was lies, and at every moment they were attempting to even prevent organizations like ourselves from even preventing the true story. We were blocked from giving evidence at the committee and to be able to present the true side of what is actually happening at clinics, that there is no protest, as they call it. There are Christians who are standing there offering love, compassion, and support to women who are going in to take the lives of their children. And so this is significant, and we do thank God for what is happening, and we just pray. And certainly one of the the impact that this evidence had on the Assembly people, particularly the Ulster Unionist Party. They bought this story hook, line, and sinker. And their health spokesperson backed it 100% by saying, "We have strong evidence of of um, of 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 intimidation and protests and happening at these clinics. So now we can see that the evidence was fraudulent, and there's a lot more information that's going to come out." So what we really want to do is to encourage you to go and take a stand at your local abortion clinic, and encourage your church to go take a stand. And this is really what we need people to do over the next right away, is to go and find out where your nearest abortion clinic is, and to go and be a witness and be a voice for the voiceless. So if you want to get involved, or you have any further questions or issues, do let us know. Info@abolishabortionni.org. Or if you go onto our website, you'll also find our phone number. Give us a call, send us a text, send us an email, and we'll be delighted to hear from you. But things are moving very quickly on this issue, and we do thank God for what He's doing. In terms of what is happening, generally, many of you will know that Stormont is in complete disarray at present, since the election, and this is unlikely to be resolved soon. But this does offer a major opportunity for those of us who are anti-abortion. You will notice that the DUP are making very strong demands before they will go back into government, and we will be launching very shortly Make Abortion a Red Line campaign, where we will be calling the DUP to make this a red line before going back into government, that the control on the issue of abortion and abortion services will be back with the people in Northern Ireland, where we can fight it properly. What we're facing at present is tyrannical government from Westminster with no accountability, without any ability for us to change or to deviate what they're doing. They're forcing in more abortion. And some of you who were watching the Queen's speech on Tuesday morning will have noticed at the very back of the speech there was a small reference that the government is committing to further force in more abortion into Northern Ireland, and we must say no, and we must call our pro-life politicians to say no, and even to the point that they will not engage in the political institutions if we do not have any form of democratic accountability to fight these laws. Mark, have you anything you wanted to say just before we finally wrap up there?
Yeah, I think, as Wesley was saying there, we want to encourage you to get out to the clinics if you can. If you need information on that, get in touch with us. It is really important that we continue to be a voice for the voiceless on this issue, because you can be certain that Satan is working to try and change the hearts and minds of people against God and His word and His law. We are conscious that today we received information that Harbour Faith Community in Carrickfergus, who is a pro-abortion church, claim to be a church, but are hold pro-abortion views, are holding an evening later this month to talk about how faith intersects with the murder of children. Part of what they'll be doing there, we have people like John, who's out pleading on behalf of the lives of children, trying to save their mothers from going through with an abortion and having that on their conscience that they killed their own child. And part of this evening at Harbour Faith Community, they're going to be writing letters to aborting mothers that will be included in what they're calling a care package, to try and salve their conscience as part of the process of killing their child. So this wickedness, this evil, has to be challenged. It has to be challenged at the abortion clinics. It has to be challenged on the streets. And we are going to be challenging it outside Harbour Faith Community. On the evening of their event, we're going to be holding a witness at their event, and drawing attention to where this place in the middle of Carrickfergus, where they stand on this issue, and sharing the gospel and the truth of the gospel with the people who are attending. So please keep an eye on our page for that, details of when that's coming up. Keep an eye on our page for details of other events that we've got coming up. But if you can, get out to the clinics, get out and save lives, share the gospel. And as John said in the video, just show up. Just show up. I don't care what you can do, what you can't do. Show up and let God show off.
Thank you, Mark, for that. And just finally, I do want to mention we have a large number of, we've got some copies of this DVD, which was recommended to us. It's a film called Voiceless. I'm just going to play a short introduction clip to finish off with. There has been a number of churches that have expressed interest that are going to be showing this film to their own congregations. This will really motivate you to the plight of the unborn. So we really want to encourage you, if you can, speak to your pastor, your minister, and see if they will host an evening in your own church, and if they will show this film. It will really awaken you to what we should be doing. It's so apt for what is happening in Northern Ireland. So I'm just going to finish off with a short clip. It's just about 5 minutes long to show you what the movie's about.
This movie is about an abortion clinic moves across the street from a church.
Voiceless is about one person taking a stand, putting a stake in the ground, risking it all to do something that is pleasing to God. And it shows what can happen when one person does that.
Isn't it our responsibility to protect these children, regardless of the consequences?
Having seen the movie, I was so blessed and pleased because it rings so true, real. I could relate fully with it. It's a very personal, touching, realistic encouragement of how the church can make a difference.
It's so honest, it's so human.
This is what God would want, Julia.
Are you sure it's God leading you, or just guilt? What is it you always say? Sometimes what we run from, God puts right in front of our face.
Voiceless is the movie the pro-life movement has been waiting for.
This is what you were talking about, right? Take action. Get involved.
Voiceless is a movie that has been made with so much prayer. We said that we wanted to make a movie that could impact the culture. And we kept coming back to what we believe is the most egregious sin of our day, and that's the sin of abortion. And we couldn't get away from that. And we knew that the church had to take more responsibility in that regard.
Do you know what something like this can do to a church? Protesting reporters, now a death across the street.
There's been death across the street for the past 6 months.
We have got to value life the way that God values life.
The church has changed, Jesse. We've become more like a lamp tucked under a basket rather than a light on top of a hill.
So I think we need to put into action the things that we know are right.
Never question where God is leading you, even if sometimes it's a bit uncomfortable.
My purpose in life is to do the most productive thing possible at every given moment for Christ. And I looked at this film as a way to do the most productive thing possible.
You know, Voice is a movie that really is about inspiring Christians to stand up and engage the culture against sin. The movie is an inspirational movie that tells Christians you can make a difference, put a stake in the ground, and do something.
This isn't about activism. This is about being a voice for the voiceless, about speaking up for those who can't speak for themselves.
When people see this film, I pray that they act, that they take action the way that the Bible specifically tells them to.
The mission of Voiceless is to have a pro-life ministry in every pro-life church in America. The movement of Voiceless is so much more important than the movie Voiceless. Every Christian who sees Voiceless is going to be able to go, get equipped, and make a difference in this pro-life battle.
I think that when your congregation sees this, you will have more than enough people who want to get involved. They're going to be motivated, they're going to be mobilized, they're going to be hungry. What can we do?
I do believe that once people watch this movie, the ones who will feel it and be called to it will do something to try to help prevent abortion.
It can really show them that there's another option, there's another way.
For those of us in pregnancy center ministry, I can't think of a greater recruiting tool than Voiceless.
You know, for 40 years, folks in the pro-life community have been trying to move the issue forward, and the reality is that one of the missing pieces has been the involvement of the church in terms of leadership. And one of the things that Voiceless, the movie, is going to be able to do is to help pregnancy centers and churches work together. It's a really, really important project and a really, really important movie.
The film Voiceless is perfect for churches to get involved in because it really shows why the church pastors need to take a lead.
This kind of a confrontation is only going to cause problems, and I do not want it in my church.
But something needs to be said and done.
We have this resource to reach so many people and to get them engaged in the battle, engaged in making a difference.
Why Voiceless is so great is because it attacks an issue that pastors have a very difficult time sometimes communicating at the pulpit.
A woman came and was headed over to that clinic. She needed some help.
What'd you tell her?
That's it. Nothing. I didn't know what to tell her.
Maybe you had no business speaking to her at all.
Is that what you really believe? Then what am I doing in this job in the first place?
At least you're swinging at something.
My prayer for this movie is that it reaches the people that it needs to reach.
Voiceless is a terrific film, and it has an important message. Its message is designed to engage and to encourage the American church on the most important social issue of our day.
Voiceless can deal a devastating blow to the enemy, but it can't do it without Christian leaders all over this country coming together and saying, we're going to lock arms with you and we're going to make a difference for this movie by getting people to go see it.
We made this film for the church.
As a pastor, what I'm hoping other pastors will do is rent out an entire theater or a whole weekend of theaters and get your congregation to go view this film.
When we made our little film Bella, we had a goal of knowing the name of just one baby that was saved from abortion within 10 years of our theatrical release. Well, it's been less than 10 years, but we've already received letters from over 1,000 women who chose life because of Bella. I want to encourage pro-life organizations to partner with other churches and other groups in your community to fill those theaters across America.
If we can get people into these seats to watch this movie, they're gonna wanna move to action. They're gonna wanna make a difference.
And Voiceless is that beautiful tool that you can use to inspire your community.
Here's what we're asking you to prayerfully consider doing. Partner with any like-minded individuals or organizations. Collectively commit to buying 500 tickets for a theater in your community.
Please go to voicelessthemovie.com right now. Give contact information and preferred local theater, and one of our group ticket representatives will contact you to help bring Voiceless to your community opening weekend.
That's just a little taster of what the Voiceless movie is about. And if you would like to get a copy of that, or if you're interested in showing it in your church or fellowship, or even just in your local community, do get in touch. We can help set that up for you. We have copies available here, and we can also provide a lot of resources to assist you with that. So thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's been great to have you. And if you have any further questions or issues, just send us an email, info@abolishabortionni.org, or contact us through our website. And thank you for being with us, and thank you for standing with the unborn at this time.